Stop. Are you losing money right now? Yes, right now. While you scroll, while you think about it, while you wait for the perfect moment. In the last 24 hours, the average American quietly lost about $2 of purchasing power. In a month, that's roughly $70 gone. In a year, well over $800 vanished because of one mental mistake. I'll show you that mistake in a minute, and after you see it, you won't look at money the same way again. But first, do 3 things. Hit subscribe, click the bell, and drop a 1 in the comments if you're ready for the truth about money. And I was raised in a Jewish family where money was never the goal. It was a tool for freedom. My grandfather, may his memory be a blessing, immigrated to the United States with almost nothing. One scuffed suitcase, a worn suit, and a single book, the Talmud. No money, no connections. His English was broken. And yet, 15 years later, he ran 3 profitable small businesses, owned 2 homes, and had the kind of financial freedom most people only dream about. When I was 17, I asked him, "Grandpa, how did you do it? How did you start from zero and build all this?" He smiled that wise smile I'll never forget and said, "Son, poverty isn't the absence of cash in your pocket. It's the absence of knowledge about how money works. For 3,000 years, our people have passed down 13 laws of wealth. While others stash cash under a mattress and fear every expense, we make every dollar serve a purpose. I saw it with my own eyes, not just in my family, but in whole communities. The same principles, the same extraordinary results. People started from nothing and in 5 to 10 years had steadily growing income, assets, businesses, and, most importantly, the freedom to choose. Now listen closely, because inside this story is the first golden law. My neighbor Michael is a good man, smart engineer, dependable employee. He worked at the same plant for 30 years and like clockwork set aside 15% of every paycheck. He saved on everything. No restaurants, the cheapest clothes, no vacations. He kept the same car for a decade. Save, save, save. After those 30 years of relentless frugality, he went to his bank proud, ready to see the fruits of his discipline. Want to guess the real value of that nest egg? It wasn't what he imagined. Inflation had been quietly eating it the entire time. Prices for bread, rent, fuel, and clothing kept marching forward while his dollars sat still. He didn't really earn, he lost, by doing nothing. At the very same time, my father followed the old laws from the Talmud. He didn't hoard cash, he put money to work. Every dollar went into something with a job description, knowledge, a modest business, productive assets, good people. Do you know what he has today? A steady passive income. Think $2,500 a month, coming in like clockwork. That's roughly $30,000 a year, whether he's working or not. Next year, it still comes. 10 years from now, it's still there. That's the difference between saving and investing. That's golden law number 1. And here's the part schools gloss over and banks won't emphasize. Saving cash by itself is the most dangerous financial habit of the 21st century. Why? Because inflation erodes purchasing power every single day. Your pile feels safe, but its buying power melts. Now let's borrow wisdom far older than modern finance. In the Talmud, you'll find a blunt truth. Money left idle becomes a burden. Wealth should move with purpose, toward creation. There's a concept called bracha, blessing, abundance that multiplies and brings peace. People who chase money for its own sake rarely sleep. They refresh exchange rates at night, scan stock tickers at breakfast. They serve their money. But I know people with ordinary incomes who are free, calm, confident, generous, because their money serves them. They invest in skills that raise earning power, in businesses with real customers, in rental property that yields monthly income, in broad funds that compound quietly. When money carries bracha, it works for you. Here's the second mistake most people make. They think wealth is a number. It isn't. I know 7-figure earners who are miserable, afraid to lose what they've piled up, checking balances like a heartbeat monitor. And I know middle-income families who sleep well. The difference is purpose and capacity. Real wealth is the ability to create value and convert it into income, over and over. My great-grandfather used to tell me, if all a man has is money, he has nothing. If he has the know-how to create money, he has everything. I've watched people lose nearly everything in a downturn. Savings evaporated, businesses shuttered, homes repossessed. The ones who understood the laws rebuilt in 6 to 12 months, not because they had cash, but because they had the skill to create it again. Now the third mistake, the one that kills 9 dreams out of 10, fear of investing. It's risky. I could lose money. Better to park it at the bank for 5%. Here's the hard truth. Refusing to invest is the biggest risk in your financial life. While you sit and worry, inflation slowly steals your future. While you skip learning, others build skills and out-earn you 10 to 1. While you delay, time leaves and does not return. There's a related idea in our tradition, tzedakah. It's not just charity, it's a pattern for how energy flows. When you give, you open channels for abundance. It works with philanthropy and with investing in yourself, your business, and your team. You put in $100 today, you position yourself to receive $1,000 tomorrow. But most people are so afraid of losing the $100 that they never receive the $1,000. Let me give you a modern parable. Leo worked as a bookkeeper, 2 kids, a mortgage, a typical life. He saved for 5 years, built a $4,500 cushion, and parked it in a 2% savings account. Proud of his safety, I told him, take $1,500 and invest in education. Learn to build passive income. Are you crazy? He said. That's risky. What if it doesn't work? 3 years later, inflation clipped his savings by roughly 10 to 15% in real terms. Meanwhile, another guy, David, took that same $1,500, learned to invest in simple instruments, and built 3 small streams of income. 3 years later, his $1,500 had become $5,500, plus a steady $300 a month. That's risk. The biggest risk is doing nothing. Type, "I'm starting today" in the comments if you're ready to act. I'll reply to you personally with a concrete first step you can take immediately. Golden law number 4 is the key to all of this. Invest in yourself first. Not in crypto, not in a house, not in a hot stock. Invest in your mind, your skills, your judgment. That's the one asset no one can confiscate, that doesn't deflate, that will pay you for a lifetime. My grandfather didn't buy a car with his first earnings. He bought books, dozens, on business, economics, and psychology. He went to meetups, asked questions, learned from operators. Every spare dollar went into knowledge. 2 years later, he launched a small business and used everything he'd learned to make it profitable. There's a saying, a wise student is worth more than 1,000 rich men. Why? Because a rich man can lose his money in a day. A wise person can create it again. Knowledge can't be stolen, can't be ruined by a recession, can't be eaten by inflation. It only appreciates. I know someone who spent $700 on a digital marketing course. His friends laughed. You can learn that free on YouTube. He took the course seriously, applied it, and 6 months later launched a tiny online school that now brings in about $4,000 a month. His $700 risk paid back in a week. The rest is profit, month after month, year after year. His friends who laughed are still stuck at $2,000 a month complaining about life. See the difference? One person invested in knowledge and changed his trajectory. The others saved $700 and lost tens of thousands in potential income. Mistake number 5. Waiting for the perfect moment. Once I've saved $20,000, then I'll start investing. Once I buy a house, then I'll start a business. Once the kids are older, then I'll learn. Friends, there is no perfect moment. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. There's an old line. No prophet in his own town. People keep searching for a magic pill somewhere else, a secret method, a special timing. But the truth is everything you need is right here. Knowledge is available. Opportunities exist. Time is moving. The only question is, when will you act? Let me tell you about Olivia. At 43 she kept saying, I want to start a business, but not now. My daughter's still in school, the car payment's due. Work is shaky. 5 years passed. The daughter graduated. Now college was expensive. The car was paid off. Then the transmission failed. Work stabilized. Now she said, I'm too old. There's always a reason to delay. Always. Now meet Rachel. At 45, with 3 young kids and a husband making modest wages in a rented apartment, she started baking custom cakes at home. Month 1, $120. Month 2, $250. A year later, she opened a tiny bakery. 6 years later, she runs 4 shops and clears about $12,000 a month. She didn't wait for the perfect moment. She created it. Type, "I'm doing it today" in the comments and take one small step. Read a book, take a free lesson, open a brokerage account, or learn a new skill. One small action today. Golden law number 6 surprises people until they try it. Give money. Yes, really. Help others. Share knowledge. Invest in someone else's project. Practice generosity, and it comes back multiplied. My father, even when money was tight, set aside 10% for others. It's not a cost, he'd say. It's an investment in abundance. Again and again, after he helped someone, new clients showed up, unexpected opportunities appeared, and favorable deals landed. Call it coincidence if you want, but there were dozens of coincidences. Law 7. Stop thinking in tiny categories. Where am I going to find $50,000 to invest? I don't even have $1,000. Wealth rarely starts with big sums. It starts with direction. Begin with what you have. Even $100 placed well can be the first brick in financial freedom. The founder of a famous banking dynasty started by trading old coins at a market stall. Pennies at first. He didn't say, "I can't." He said, "How do I grow this?" Every dollar earned was reinvested into more inventory, better quality, wider offering. 30 years later, the family financed kings and governments. You don't need $1 million to begin. You need to begin to get $1 million. If you have 150, buy a great course. If you have 75, buy the right books. If you have 25ers, open a brokerage account and buy your first share. Create momentum. Law. Portrait. Choose your circle. Make yourself a teacher, says the Talmud. Find mentors. If you want to become wealthy, spend time with people who've built real wealth. Observe how they think, how they decide, how they deploy money. My grandfather deliberately sought out meetings with business owners. Many said no. The few who said yes were worth more than any university degree because they shared real experience. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If your closest 5 complain, fear risk, and change nothing, you'll be the 6th. Change your circle. Change your life. Mistake number 9. People can't tell assets from liabilities. They buy a car and say, "I bought an asset." No, you bought a liability. It takes money every month. Gas, insurance, maintenance, parking. An asset puts money in your pocket. A rental that cash flows. Shares that pay dividends. A business with profit. The wealthy acquire assets. The poor acquire liabilities, thinking they're assets. The middle class buys liabilities on credit and digs the hole deeper. Ask every time you spend, is this an asset or a liability? Will this pay me or will it drain me? Law Factor 10 is simple but rare. Automate saving and investing. Don't rely on willpower. Set an automatic 10-20% transfer to your investment account on payday before you see the money. Pay yourself first. Most people do the opposite. Spend first. Save if anything's left. Nothing is ever left. Automation fixes that. 10% goes to investments. Done. Live on the remaining 90. In a month you won't feel it. In a year you'll have a portfolio. In 5 years, real cushion. In 10, freedom. Mistake, number 11. Fear of mistakes. People are so afraid to choose wrong that they never choose at all. Hear me, mistakes are not failure, they're tuition. Every successful person I know has made dozens, even hundreds of mistakes. The difference is they kept moving and learned. My first business failed. I lost about $100. It hurt, but the lessons were worth 10 times that. What not to do, where my weak spots were, how to manage risk. The second business was profitable in 3 months because I didn't repeat those mistakes. Law Chakra 12 seems odd but works. Visualize the goal, not as fantasy, but as a plan your brain can believe. When I wanted to buy my first home, I had only $3,000 and I needed $45,000. Instead of despairing, I pictured the front door, the morning light in the kitchen, the couch in the living room. I felt it so vividly that my brain started hunting for ways to make it real. A year later, I found a path. 2 years later, I moved in. The brain doesn't cleanly separate vivid rehearsal from reality. It starts building the pathways either way. And law 13, the most important. Money is not the point. It's a means to live, to create freedom, to do what matters. If money becomes the point, you become its servant. If money is your tool, you become free. At the end of his life, my grandfather told me, "Son, I've been poor and I've been rich. Here's what I learned. Happiness isn't the amount of money. It's the ability to choose what to work on, who to spend time with, who to help. That's what money is for. Freedom of choice. Before you sprint after wealth, ask, why do I want money? What will I do with it? If your answer is to impress people with a car, you're off course. If your answer is to build freedom so I can do meaningful work and care for my people, you're on the right road. We've reached the end. I've shared the 13 golden laws of Jewish wealth that my family passed down for generations. These aren't theories. They're field-tested across centuries. They worked in the Middle Ages, in the 20th century, and they work now because they match how money and human nature actually behave. Type a number from 1 to 13 in the comments and tell me which law hit you hardest and which one you'll apply first. I'll reply with specific steps for that law. Don't forget the book, 13 Golden Laws of Jewish Wealth, with exercises, examples, and step-by-step guidance. There's a special early price for the first 500 readers. After that, it goes up. Subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss the next video where I'll share concrete strategies for first investments, building passive income, and starting a business from scratch. Hit like if this helped. More likes means more people see it. Most important, everything I've said only works if you act. Knowledge without action is just mental clutter. You can watch 1,000 videos and read 100 books, but if you don't take the first step today, nothing changes. So here's your homework. Today, not tomorrow, take one action for your financial future. Open a brokerage account, buy a book, sign up for a free class, make a list of skills you can monetize, anything, but do it, then comment, done. That creates accountability and starts the process. It's the first step to freedom. Wealth begins in your head, not in your bank account, not in an inheritance, not in a lottery ticket, in your decision to think and act differently. If you take that step today, a year from now, you'll be stunned by how much has changed. I've seen these laws transform hundreds of lives, some from debt and despair to peace and abundance, not because those people were special, but because they applied the right principles. The choice is yours. Stay on the treadmill of stress and scarcity, or start the path to financial freedom now, using wisdom that's worked for thousands of years. I can't make the choice for you, but I can give you the map and cheer you on. Peace to your home and prosperity to your family. May these laws bring you abundance, freedom, and joy. Take action today, and your future will never be the same. See you in the next episode. First investments on a tiny budget. Subscribe, like, comment, and remember, your wealth starts now, in this moment. Believe in yourself and act.